Alright, so here this is the new Galaxy A13 4G. Here are the things that I like, what I think is average, and what I dislike, and how Samsung can improve on it. Let's go. So the first thing of what I like is the design. So you see there's no camera bump, and also the choice of colors. There's the orange and light blue, and here I have the orange color with me. And yes, I know the build is plastic, but it is stronger than glass. And also the weight is not so heavy. It's actually, look at the current flagships, there are at least 200 grams, and the A13 is only 196 grams. And it also has a USB-C Type C port and also a headphone jack, which you wouldn't see it in many mid-range phones right now. And also, speaking of headphone jack, right, there is also, this phone also comes with a 15-watt charger. And since the new model of Samsung phones like A53 and A73, they stopped giving charger anymore. The second will be the display. So the display is a 6.6-inch PLS LCD 1080p display. It is not an AMOLED. Look, if you only have $250 and you want to build a smartphone for the price, or for the tight budget people, you have to sacrifice the quality, but still look at the display. I mean, the brightness in this phone is good, and yes, there's no 90 hertz or 120 hertz, and it only has a 60 hertz refresh rate. But the thing is that, you see, there are many apps like YouTube and Instagram and any other third-party apps that still doesn't support high refresh rate. And not just for budget phones, the many mid-range phones still stuck at 60 hertz, and I think 60 hertz is good enough for me. And the third thing I would say is the battery. I actually used this phone for around 2 to 3 days, and it still does not need a single charge. Why? Because it has a 5000 milliamp hour capacity inside. And also the software, One UI 4.1 core, packed with Android 12. I would say the battery could last so long because the chip inside is not power hungry ones. And also the fourth thing I would say that I like is the storage. If you are living in Singapore, you will actually get the highest storage, as mine comes with 128 gigs packed with 4 gigs of RAM, and the base model, which is the lowest one you can get, is 3 gigs of RAM with 32 gigs of storage, which I think in 2022 is really not enough. And the highest you can get is 6 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. And of course, there's a micro SD card slot of up to 1 terabyte, which you can store your photos in. Fifth thing that what I've liked is the security. So you can either use a fingerprint sensor, which is on the power button, or you can also use face recognition, which is actually quite fast. But the thing is that if you are in pitch dark, you can't use the face recognition unless you have flashlight with you on, and you can only use a fingerprint sensor, which is on top of the power on button. Yeah, and unless if you are wearing no mask outside, you can also use a fingerprint sensor, or you can just type a pin or swipe a pattern, and that is actually what I like for everything else in this phone. Alright, so now is the thing that I would say is average. The first I would say is the speaker. So for the speaker, when I try to test out when I was watching videos or something or listening to music, actually I would say the audio is decent. I wouldn't say it's extraordinary, or I wouldn't say it's very special or flagship kind of like, because it's actually just there's only one speaker, it's not dual speakers, and it's not stereo as well. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter unless you have you are watching a movie or something and you will use your headphones instead, and there you go. So you can actually plug in your headphones, and also it has a Dolby Atmos. It also supports Dolby Atmos. So yeah, I would say that the speaker is just average. Another thing I would say is not okay is the connectivity, because this is actually the 4G variant, so the highest cellular you can reach is LTE, and there is no 5G sub 6 gigas here. I mean, there is a 5G variant as well, but depends on the availability in your region, because I couldn't find one here and I am not able to review it. And the specs of the 5G variant is actually very different from this 4G, and more about it later. Alright, however, there are two things that I really will not convince you to get this phone, is unless this is your secondary phone and you only use this phone for message, social media, watch YouTube or Netflix, and basically doing basic tasks, etc. And you don't care about the performance and such, then sure, go ahead, you can get this phone. Because I have mentioned the word performance just now, right? That is the first red flag of this phone. Why? Because it has an Exynos 850. Sorry, what? Exynos 850. Come on, Samsung, you can use a better chip, right? Yes, I know. This is a phone that is a successor of the Galaxy A13, which comes with a MediaTek Helio P35. And many people use that phone, right? Look, this is the stats of the best-selling phone of 2021, and Samsung A12 is in the top 5 of it. Even the 5G variant of A13 has Dimensity 700 chip, which is an upgrade from Helio and Exynos 850. Look, if you take the Helio P35 and Exynos 850 and compare, sure, 850 is slightly higher, but remember, A12, right? A12, Samsung A12, the Galaxy A12 has only 720p resolution, and the A13 has the 1080p display. My guess is that probably this chip can barely handle the 1080p, and therefore it suffers in performance. I've tested many games, and of course, you can't run Genshin Impact because the specification is too low for this game. And yes, you can run many not so task demanding games like Clash Royale, or Subway Servers, Homescapes, etc. And if you want to play COD Mobile, Apex Legends, PUBG, Mobile Legends, you may need to lower down your expectations, because you will get around 30 FPS or even lower with low settings. With this phone, we don't talk about high or ultra. Yeah. And remember, I used to have a Redmi Note 7 3 years ago. That is actually faster than the Samsung A13. That phone has a Snapdragon 660, a chip from 2017, and has a 14 nanometer process. And it even outperformed than a 4-year later old chip from 8 nanometer process. Mind blown, right? Mind blown. This Exynos A50 is actually a 2020 chip, and that is a 2017 chip, so yeah, 4 years. Alright, enough of my run of my performance. Another thing I would like to point out is the cameras. Yes, to be honest, I love the camera placement here. It reminds me of the A32 5G and those flagship like S22 Ultra. But don't get fooled by Samsung's 50 megapixel main camera. The 5 megapixel ultra wide, the 2 megapixel macro and depth sensor is just, let me quote what Mr. Who's the Boss said, it's just you taking a permanent marker and draw the lenses on top of it. And for the main camera, you can only take maximum 50 megapixels, and the video recording is also 1080p 30 fps maximum, which, I mean, 50 megapixel. Okay, yeah, 50 megapixel. And you can record 60 fps, you can record 4K resolution. I mean, to be honest, right, I actually like the ultra wide because my main phone, which is an iPhone XS Max, does not have that. Yeah, and well, so I got this phone for around $200 Singapore dollars, and so which is around 140 euros or 150 US dollars. And actually, the retail price here is approximately $250. And here's my final thoughts. You really need a lot of patience when you use this phone. Yes, patience. there's actually a lot of competitors from different brands also sell their budget phone within $200 range, like the Oppo A16, the Vivo Y15s and Y21, the Realme C21Y and C25, or even its previous generation Samsung Galaxy A12. Actually, I mean, the phone that I mentioned just now actually has a chip that is not so strong as well. However, I still choose the A13 because it looks the best in terms of design. Yes, sure, the Oppo A16 looks good as well, but I tried the phone myself and I tell myself, come on, this phone shouldn't be this low. If you really want a smartphone that is faster or has a high refresh rate screen, then if you also don't care about the design, I would actually recommend there's new Redmi 10C. And that phone has a Snapdragon 680, which is way faster than Exynos 650. If you could spend a little bit more, then I recommend you to get the Oppo A76. It also has 680 and it has a 90Hz display and comes with a hole punch instead of water drop notch, and more with a highest price range of $299. Or if you prefer Xiaomi, then the base model would be Redmi Note 11, the 4G variant for $269. See, there's so many choices for a budget Android phone, and it really depends on what you want to do with it. And if you just want to be loyal to your brand that you are currently using, then sure, just get the Samsung A13. And alright, I would also want to say that what do I think about the Samsung that they can do for the next A10 series? Well, maybe they can change to a better chip, of course. I mean, for the next A14 or A13s, they can put at least a Snapdragon 680 chip, or even use a MediaTek Dimensity chip is enough as well. I mean, Dimensity 700, Dimensity 800 or 900 are fine if Samsung can spend a little bit more and maybe put a 90Hz display just like A22 5G and A23. Yeah. And lastly, what they can do to the cameras are also either put the main sensor are able to capture 60 fps and or 4K 30 fps. Yes, I know all this comes with a price. So if this actually up, if Samsung actually put this and maybe up, I mean around 50 to 100 more dollars, I think more people will actually buy it and not consider the competitors well. And Samsung will actually brought up the budget phones again, and people will be convinced and buy the Samsung budget phones. So the last thing I would actually want to say is that if you are patient enough for the phone to load up, and if you also like the back design, and you just want to do simple tasks on your phone, just take normal pictures and a phone that can last a very long time, or if you trust only Samsung and not other brands, and also wants years of updates like the Android 13, Android 14, and also One UI 5.6, then sure, go ahead and buy the A13, Galaxy A13. Yep, so that is all for my review, and I hope you guys like it. And that's all for today. See you and goodbye.